The Lord will lead you. In today's world, full of chaos and challenges, the invitation to follow the Lord echoes like a lighthouse shining through the darkness. The Lord is not only an infinite source of strength, but also the path that guides us through every hardship, bringing true peace to the soul. When life overwhelms with wounds from continuous insults and bullying, walking with the Lord becomes the only way out, where the spirit and psyche are firmly strengthened, transforming pains into opportunities for growth in divine light. Bullying and insults can appear in many forms, infiltrating every aspect of daily life. On social media, malicious comments, mocked images, or spreading negative campaigns can attack relentlessly, making victims feel besieged from all sides. Repeated taunts, from body shaming to personal criticisms, create a negative loop that is hard to escape. At school, bullying can occur through whispers behind one's back, exclusion from friend groups, or even direct threats, turning class time into a nightmare instead of a place for learning. The workplace is no exception, with colleagues competing by spreading rumors, public criticisms, or creating psychological pressure through emails and meetings, leading to prolonged mental exhaustion. These experiences do not stop at the moment they happen, but leave deep marks, forcing victims to face constant fear whenever interacting with the outside world. The harm from prolonged bullying often erodes self-esteem in a silent but devastating way. Initially, it may be small doubts about one's own value, but gradually, they accumulate into a wall separating the victim from confidence. Each taunt is like a cut, weakening the ability to view oneself positively, leading to self-isolation and avoidance of relationships. Fear of communication becomes a major barrier, making it difficult or even impossible to express opinions or connect with others. Victims may withdraw, avoid group conversations, or feel extreme anxiety when facing crowds, due to the obsession that any word could lead to more harm. Despair spreads when all efforts at self-protection seem futile. Measures like blocking accounts on social media or reporting to superiors only bring temporary silence, while the storm of attacks continues from other sources. This sense of helplessness pushes people to the brink, where hope seems exhausted and thoughts of giving up everything in life begin to creep in. It is in those darkest moments that turning to the Lord becomes the decisive turning point, opening the path to true protection and emotional healing. The Lord is not distant, but always close to those who are suffering, as affirmed in Psalm 34:18. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Through sincere prayer, one can experience shelter from the Almighty, where wounds of the heart are bandaged by unconditional love. Following the Lord is not a temporary choice, but a long-term commitment, helping to rebuild self-esteem by recognizing one's true value in the eyes of the Lord. Each step with the Lord brings strength to face bullying, transforming fear into courage, and replacing despair with solid hope. When feeling despair to the point of wanting to give up, abandoning work, relationships, or even life, the Lord becomes the only remaining anchor. The Lord does not let one wander lost, but guides each step along the path that the Lord has created, a way full of light and purpose. According to the Lord's counsel, Through scripture and inner guidance, one learns to overcome darkness, finding strength to continue. Following the Lord is the bright path, where every challenge becomes a lesson, and the psyche is strengthened to face any storm. Only when walking with the Lord does the spirit truly become steadfast, bringing peace that surpasses all worldly solutions. To illustrate this truth, consider the scripture in Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. This promise affirms that the Lord not only accompanies, but also grants strength to overcome all bullying and harm, guiding to a radiant future. The path of following the Lord is the correct horizon, where divine guidance becomes the compass for every decision. In the context of bullying on social media, the Lord teaches wise use of technology, focusing on positive messages and building supportive communities instead of being swept into the negative vortex. At school, following the Lord nurtures inner resilience, turning taunts into motivation for learning and self-development. At work, light from the Lord illuminates to maintain professionalism and seek justice without losing peace. Each aspect emphasizes that only following the Lord brings a beautiful psyche, where harm is healed and strength is multiplied. The Lord's guidance is not limited to solving current problems, but also opens a long-term vision for life. When facing prolonged threats, the Lord directs to build healthy boundaries, select relationships, and focus on the personal mission that the Lord has predetermined. Steadfast spirit can only be achieved through walking with the Lord, for the Lord provides infinite energy to combat despair. Those who have experienced the pain of bullying will realize that this path is not just an escape, but a transformative journey, where self-esteem is restored and fear gradually dissipates. Light from the Lord shines into every dark corner of the soul, helping to view bullying not as an end, but as part of a greater journey. Through following the Lord, one learns to redirect energy from pain to development, building daily prayer habits to maintain psychological balance. This path is always radiant, bringing hope that all attacks will pass, leaving a stronger version of oneself. Only when committed to following the Lord does one truly possess an indomitable spirit, ready to face any challenge. The sacredness of following the Lord lies in the ability to heal the deepest wounds from bullying. When self-esteem is damaged, the Lord reminds of unchanging value in the Lord's plan, helping to rebuild confidence through small steps. Fear of communication is replaced by freedom of expression, for the Lord grants wise words and protection. Despair vanishes when realizing that the path with the Lord is the true source of life, guiding to new and promising horizons. Each day, following the Lord is a solid step away from the darkness of bullying. The Lord guides how to handle insults with wisdom, focusing on what builds up rather than destroys. A beautiful psyche can only flourish on this foundation, where the Lord becomes the most reliable companion. That radiant path invites walking without hesitation, for only there is the Spirit truly strengthened, and life becomes meaningful. Following the Lord brings clear guidance in dealing with bullying in every environment. On social media, The Lord teaches to filter content, using platforms to spread positivity instead of being drawn into negativity. At school, the Lord encourages perseverance in learning, turning challenges into opportunities to prove value. At work, light from the Lord helps maintain professionalism, seeking fair solutions without losing peace. Each element affirms that the path with the Lord is the right choice, bringing steadfast psyche and renewed spirit. The Lord is the divine guidance needed, especially when despair surges. When wanting to abandon everything, the Lord pulls back, guiding along the created path with wise counsel. Light from the Lord illuminates every decision, helping to overcome harm and build the future. Only following the Lord achieves psychological balance, where bullying pain becomes the past and hope becomes reality. The path with the Lord is always the radiant horizon, where all bullying is repelled by divine power. Steadfast spirit exists only when walking with the Lord, receiving healing and protection. Let the Lord lead, for that is the only path bringing beautiful psyche and complete life. In the journey of overcoming wounds from bullying and insults, clinging closely to the path the Lord leads opens new depths where inner strength is naturally and sustainably awakened. Light from the Lord not only dispels temporary darkness, but also builds a solid foundation for the soul, helping to face fierce waves from social media, school, or work without flinching. When taunts pour like rain, the Lord becomes an indestructible shield, guiding each decision to turn challenges into stepping stones for spiritual growth. An environment where attacks can occur without limits of time or space. Malicious comments, distorted images, or rapidly spreading slander campaigns can make victims feel completely isolated, like being lost in a stormy sea. However, when choosing to walk with the Lord, one is equipped with wisdom to filter out negative elements, focusing on using this platform as a tool to connect with positive resources. The Lord guides how to respond with calmness, not to argue, but to affirm self-value through the Lord's lens. The result is that the psyche is gradually strengthened, transforming fear before the screen into confidence, knowing that the Lord is accompanying, guiding each mouse click or status line. This path is radiant to the point that it turns social media from a dangerous place into a field to express inner strength, where steadfast spirit becomes daily reality. School, where bullying often is direct and repetitive, like mocking whispers during recess or exclusion from group activities. These experiences can shake the foundation of self-esteem, making students hesitant to participate in class or make new friends. However, following the Lord brings clear guidance, helping to realize that each school day is part of a greater plan that the Lord has outlined. The Lord encourages perseverance through learning, turning threats into motivation to pursue knowledge and skills. When praying for protection from the Lord, victims find strength to stand firm, not by retaliating, but by focusing on long-term goals. Beautiful psyche arises from here, for the path with the Lord ensures that fear of communication gradually gives way to freedom of expressing opinions, knowing that the Lord is illuminating each step in the school hallway. This is the correct horizon, where the spirit is trained to overcome all barriers, bringing true peace in a pressured environment. Bullying can be more subtle, through critical emails, meetings where colleagues belittle contributions, or spreading rumors affecting advancement. These prolonged behaviors can lead to mental exhaustion, making employees feel despair and want to abandon their career. However, the Lord guides through the Lord's path by providing wise counsel to maintain professionalism, seeking fair solutions without losing inner balance. The Lord helps build clear boundaries, select colleague relationships, and focus on personal mission in work. When following the Lord, one realizes that each challenge is an opportunity to train psychological endurance, turning the workplace from a battlefield into a field to prove value. Steadfast spirit is truly achieved only when walking with the Lord, for the Lord is the infinite source of energy, helping to overcome despair and aim for meaningful achievements. This path is always radiant, affirming that beautiful psyche is the inevitable result of letting the Lord guide each career decision. To enrich the truth about the power of the path with the Lord, reflect on the scripture in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. This promise emphasizes that the Lord not only protects, but also plans for a future full of hope, helping to overcome harm from bullying by viewing them as part of the journey leading to completeness. Through that, the spirit is strengthened and the psyche becomes more steadfast than ever. The divine guidance from the Lord also extends to healing deep harms to self-esteem, where bullying has left hard-to-fade scars. When repeated insults cause doubt in self-value, the Lord reminds through the Lord's path that one is created in the Lord's image with a distinct purpose. The Lord guides how to rebuild confidence through small daily actions, like journaling about received blessings or participating in positive community activities. The result is that fear of communication dissipates, giving way to confidence, knowing that the Lord is accompanying in every conversation. The path with the Lord is where the psyche is healed from the root, turning despair into motivation to continue living meaningfully. Only when walking with the Lord does one truly possess inner power to repel all attacks, bringing lasting peace. The Lord leads us through the most desperate moments, when thoughts of giving up everything surge. In those times, the path of the Lord becomes the only way out, where counsel from Scripture illuminates every decision. The Lord does not allow wandering lost, but draws nearer, helping to realize that each step with the Lord is part of a grand divine plan. Steadfast spirit arises from this connection, for the Lord provides an infinite source of hope, transforming pain into valuable lessons. The horizon of following the Lord is always correct, affirming that a beautiful psyche can only be achieved when allowing the Lord to lead, away from all shadows of bullying. When facing prolonged threats, the Lord guides in building a support network, selecting friends and mentors based on divine values. The Lord encourages patience and perseverance, helping to overcome difficult phases without losing hope. This path is radiant to the extent that it turns every challenge into an opportunity for the spirit to be trained, bringing true freedom from fear. Only By following the Lord, can one have a steadfast psyche, ready to embrace the good things ahead. The sacredness of following the Lord also lies in the ability to transform how bullying is viewed, not as an enemy, but as a factor promoting development. The Lord leads through focusing on positive aspects, like learning from experiences to support others in the future. A beautiful psyche develops from here, for the path with the Lord ensures that harm is transformed into strength. This horizon always invites, affirming that steadfast spirit is a gift from the Lord for those who choose to walk with the Lord. Every aspect of life, from social media to work, is illuminated by the Lord when following the path of the Lord. The Lord provides counsel to cope with taunts, helping to maintain calmness and focus on long-term goals. That radiant path brings psychological balance, where despair has no place to dwell. Only when clinging to the Lord can one truly overcome bullying, with an indomitable spirit and overflowing hope. When insults pour relentlessly like fierce winds, the Lord does not leave one alone, but embraces with protective arms, leading through the brilliant path where the spirit is trained to overcome every storm, bringing a psyche as solid as a rock foundation. Continuous taunts can make one feel worthless, like a painting stained beyond cleaning. However, the Lord leads by redefining self-value through the lens of the Lord, where each person is a masterpiece created with a noble purpose. The Lord guides through daily practices, like meditating on promises in Scripture to reinforce positive perception, helping to repel negative thoughts from the depths. The result is that self-esteem gradually revives, not from personal effort, but from divine power flowing, transforming pain into a foundation for enduring confidence. This path is brilliant to the extent that it changes how oneself is viewed, affirming that only when following the Lord does the psyche truly become steadfast, ready to face any threatening words without wavering. The fear of communication, a common consequence from prolonged bullying, is also addressed by the Lord in a subtle and comprehensive way on the path of the Lord. When social media, school, or the workplace become hideouts for toxic words, victims often withdraw, avoiding all interactions for self-protection. The Lord, in the role of divine guide, encourages gradual opening, starting from inner conversations through prayer, then spreading to the outside world. The Lord grants wise words, helping to express opinions without fear, knowing that the Lord is shielding every utterance. Steadfast spirit sprouts from here, transforming hesitation into freedom of expression, where the psyche is balanced to connect sincerely with others. The horizon of following the Lord is always the right choice, bringing strength to overcome communication barriers, affirming that only walking with the Lord brings true peace in all relationships. Despair, when surging to the point of wanting to abandon everything, becomes the pivotal moment where the Lord manifests the guiding power of the Lord. In that darkness, the path with the Lord appears like a torch illuminating, pulling away from the abyss with hopeful counsel from Scripture. The Lord does not allow wandering lost, but outlines a clear route where each step is part of the divine plan, transforming thoughts of surrender into motivation to continue. A beautiful psyche develops strongly from this connection, for the Lord provides infinite energy to combat pain, helping to realize that life is still full of potential. That radiant path invites progression, affirming that indomitable spirit can only be achieved when allowing the Lord to lead away from all shadows of bullying and toward a brilliant horizon. To highlight this truth, reflect on the scripture in Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. This affirmation emphasizes that the Lord turns every experience, including bullying, into long-term benefit, helping growth in spirit and psyche. Through that, the path with the Lord becomes the true source of strength, where harm is transformed into valuable lessons, bringing inner steadfastness. The path with the Lord also extends to building a supportive community where bullying cannot infiltrate. The Lord guides in selecting relationships based on divine values, creating a network of sincere companions, helping to repel insults. In the social media environment, the Lord encourages using platforms to spread positive messages, turning what was once a source of pain into a field for sharing hope. At school, the Lord leads in participating in healthy group activities, where resilience is trained through meaningful interactions. At work, light from the Lord helps in seeking colleagues who share the vision, turning pressure into opportunities for collaboration. Each aspect reinforces that the path with the Lord is the correct horizon, bringing solid psyche and renewed spirit, where bullying is only a faint past. The guidance of the Lord is also shown through training patience before prolonged threats. When attacks seem unending, the Lord teaches how to maintain calmness, focusing on long-term goals instead of immediate reactions. Steadfast spirit arises from this habit, for the Lord grants endurance to overcome, turning each day into a step closer to freedom. The horizon with the Lord is always brilliant, affirming that a beautiful psyche is the result of allowing the Lord to lead away from fear and toward completeness. One sees the path with the Lord transforming how taunts are handled, not by avoidance, but by facing with wisdom. The Lord guides in distinguishing between worthless words and divine truth, helping the psyche not to be shaken. In the context of despair, the Lord draws nearer, reminding that the Lord has created a separate path for each person, full of light and hope. Only by walking with the Lord does the spirit truly become immortal, bringing balance that the world cannot provide. Light from the Lord also illuminates the development of long-term coping skills with bullying. The Lord encourages learning from experiences, using them to support others, turning victims into guides. Steadfast psyche develops from this mission, for the path with the Lord ensures that every effort has meaning. That horizon always invites, affirming that only following the Lord brings bright spirit and complete life. Each moment with the Lord is an occasion for the soul to be renewed, repelling harm from social media by focusing on constructive content. At school, the Lord leads in overcoming exclusion with inner confidence. At work, the Lord helps maintain motivation amid rumors, turning challenges into achievements. This radiant path brings psychological balance, where despair dissipates and hope reigns. The sacredness of the Lord lies in the ability to heal from the root, helping self-esteem revive through perception of unchanging value. Fear of communication gives way to boldness, for the Lord grants words full of power. Despair becomes the past when the Lord leads according to the plan of the Lord, bringing steadfast spirit and beautiful psyche. The path with the Lord is the true source of life, where bullying is only a passing cloud. The Lord guides in building positive habits, like meditating on Scripture daily, to strengthen the inner self. Indomitable spirit sprouts from here, affirming that the horizon with the Lord is the most correct. When facing threats, the Lord provides wise strategies, helping to overcome without losing peace. Solid psyche is a gift from the Lord, turning every attack into an opportunity for growth. Only by following the Lord can one possess divine power, bringing a life full of light. In the endless flow of guidance from the Lord, invitation is extended to dive deep into mystical dimensions, where divine light not only illuminates, but also ignites the inner flame, turning storms of bullying into rivers, nurturing resilient life. When threatening words persist like lingering shadows, the Lord is present as an eternal lighthouse, beckoning to step firmly on the brilliant path, where the spirit is forged into indestructible diamond, bringing a psyche solid beyond all limits. Explore further how the path with the Lord restructures coping with harm from social media, a virtual world where bullying spreads like an uncontrollable virus. Malicious comments, distorted images, or defamation campaigns can immerse victims in invisible loneliness. But the Lord leads by turning digital space into a territory of hope. The Lord guides in selecting content with wisdom, prioritizing messages that uplift the spirit instead of being swept into the negative vortex. Through each online interaction, the Lord grants strength to reflect the light of the Lord, turning taunts into opportunities to affirm divine truth. Beautiful psyche blooms from this change, for the path with the Lord ensures that fear before the screen dissipates, giving way to digital confidence, where steadfast spirit becomes a shield against all virtual attacks. That horizon is always brilliant, affirming that only walking with the Lord brings true balance in the ceaselessly connected world, where bullying often carries a close and cruel breath, like invisible knives carving deep into youthful memories. Being mocked in class, excluded from friend groups, or threatened during recess can shake the foundation of the future. But the Lord leads through the path of the Lord by turning the school environment into a sacred life school. The Lord encourages learning with a noble purpose, where each lecture becomes a lesson on inner endurance, helping to overcome insults by focusing on knowledge and self-development. When praying for guidance from the Lord, victims find motivation to participate actively, transforming hesitation into meaningful engagement. Steadfast spirit is forged through this process, for the path with the Lord brings resilient psyche, where harm from peers becomes motivation to build healthy relationships. This is the radiant way, where youth is protected by eternal light, affirming that only following the Lord achieves comprehensive maturity. Bullying can disguise itself under a professional veneer through subtle criticisms, exclusion from projects, or pressure from superiors, leading to accumulated fatigue like an unbearable burden. However, the Lord leads by illuminating the career path with divine vision, helping to realize that work is part of a greater mission. The Lord guides in building coping strategies, like maintaining a journal of achievements to reinforce self-esteem amid criticisms, or seeking counsel from the faith community to sustain motivation. The result is that the psyche is balanced, transforming the workplace from a battlefield into a harvest field, where steadfast spirit withstands all professional storms. The path with the Lord is the correct horizon, bringing strength to overcome despair, affirming that only walking with the Lord brings true success, full of peace and meaning. To engrave the truth about the transformative power of the path with the Lord, reflect on the scripture in Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. This declaration emphasizes that the Lord not only accompanies, but also bestows supernatural ability to overcome bullying, turning weakness into strength and harm into victory. Through that, the spirit is elevated and the psyche becomes inviolable, ready to embrace every challenge with overflowing hope. The path with the Lord also opens the door to developing empathy for others, where bullying experiences become bridges to support those who are suffering. The Lord leads in sharing personal stories with wisdom, turning victims into guides, helping to build communities where bullying cannot exist. On social media, the Lord encourages creating encouraging content, spreading hope to thousands. At school, the Lord guides participation in anti-bullying programs, turning negative experiences into positive actions. At work, light from the Lord helps promote a culture of respect, changing the environment from the root. Each action reinforces that the path with the Lord is the source of life, bringing solid psyche and spreading spirit, where personal harm becomes benefit for the community. The divine guidance from the Lord is also shown through nurturing habits of inner reflection, helping to combat prolonged threats. When insults pour relentlessly, the Lord teaches to pause and listen to the voice from the Lord, recharging the spirit through moments of quiet. Beautiful psyche arises from this practice, for the path with the Lord ensures that fear is replaced by deep peace, turning each day into an opportunity for growth. That horizon always sparkles, affirming that indomitable spirit exists only when allowing the Lord to lead, away from the darkness of despair and toward eternal light. One realizes the path with the Lord transforms the view of failure from bullying, not as an end, but as a new beginning. The Lord guides in learning from each experience, using them to train patience and perseverance, helping the psyche no longer be dominated by taunts. In moments of wanting to give up, the Lord draws nearer, reminding of the plan the Lord has outlined, full of promise and purpose. Only by walking with the Lord does the Spirit truly revive, bringing balance unmatched by anything. Light from the Lord also shines on building long-term resistance against bullying. The Lord encourages developing emotional skills, like identifying and managing negative emotions, turning victims into spiritual warriors. Steadfast psyche develops from this foundation, for the path with the Lord provides divine tools to cope, bringing freedom from fear of communication. The horizon with the Lord is an endless source of hope, affirming that only following the Lord achieves bright spirit and abundant life. Each beat of the journey with the Lord is an occasion for the soul to be recreated, repelling harm from threats by focusing on daily blessings. On social media, the Lord leads in creating safe spaces where positivity overshadows negativity. In school, the Lord helps overcome mockery with confidence from the Lord. At work, that light sustains motivation amid pressure, turning challenges into peaks. This brilliant path brings psychological balance, where despair melts and hope surges. The mystery of the Lord lies in the ability for comprehensive healing, helping self-esteem awaken through perception of unconditional love. Fear of communication vanishes before the power of the Lord's word, bringing boldness in every interaction. Despair becomes a bridge to hope when the Lord leads according to the root of the Lord, bestowing steadfast spirit and radiant psyche. The path with the Lord is a vibrant river, where bullying is only small stones on the way. The Lord guides in overcoming with wise strategies, building positive habits to strengthen the inner self. Immortal spirit sprouts from this connection, affirming that the horizon with the Lord is the perfect destination. When confronting insults, the Lord grants a new perspective, helping to overcome without losing self. Solid psyche is a legacy from the Lord, turning every attack into a lesson in maturity. Only by following the Lord can one grasp divine power, bringing a life full of light and purpose. The path with the Lord opens countless unexpected dimensions, where every aspect of daily life is imbued with transformative power, helping to repel traces from insults naturally and profoundly. When facing surging emotional waves caused by bullying, clinging to the Lord brings clarity, turning chaotic moments into opportunities for the spirit to be nurtured, affirming that only on this way does the psyche truly reach the necessary solidity to overcome all obstacles. One area where the path with the Lord shines brilliantly is in managing daily emotions, where harm from threats can infiltrate every trivial thought. Prolonged harm often evokes anger, sadness, or anxiety, making ordinary days burdensome. But the Lord guides through meditating on the word of the Lord to calm the mind, helping to transform negative emotions into positive energy. The Lord bestows the ability to identify and control inner reactions, turning pain into lessons on patience, where the spirit gradually becomes indomitable before all toxic words. The way with the Lord here becomes a cool spring, where the psyche is renewed each morning, affirming that only when following the Lord can one maintain long-term emotional balance, turning daily life into a journey full of hope. In family relationships, where bullying sometimes appears in the form of criticism from loved ones or accumulated tension, the path with the Lord provides a foundation to build sincere bonds. Insults from siblings, parents, or spouses can crack trust, but the Lord leads by encouraging open communication based on principles of love, helping to heal wounds and strengthen connections. The Lord helps recognize the value of each family member through a divine lens, turning conflicts into opportunities to show forgiveness without losing oneself. Steadfast spirit blossoms from this environment, for the path with the Lord brings healthy psyche, where family becomes a safe haven from external shadows of bullying. This is the horizon needed, where only walking with the Lord brings true harmony in the home. When participating in recreational activities like sports or personal hobbies, bullying can intrude through comments from friends or online communities, overshadowing joy. However, the path with the Lord turns those relaxing moments into occasions to train spiritual endurance, guiding enjoyment without being affected by negative opinions. The Lord encourages focusing on passions as part of the plan of the Lord, helping to overcome hesitation in participation and turning activities into sources of positive energy. Beautiful psyche develops from this freedom, for the way with the Lord ensures that the spirit is protected, turning entertainment into a tool to repel despair. The horizon with the Lord here sparkles, affirming that only when following the Lord can one truly enjoy life without fearing harm. Regarding physical health, prolonged bullying often leads to stress affecting the body, like insomnia or reduced immunity. But the path with the Lord brings a comprehensive approach to self-care. The Lord guides through valuing the body as a sacred temple, encouraging habits of exercise and rest based on wisdom from the word of the Lord, helping to minimize the impact of insults on health. When praying for strength from the Lord, victims find motivation to maintain a healthy lifestyle, turning weakness into abundant vitality. Steadfast spirit accompanies healthy physique on this way, for the path with the Lord provides resilient psyche, where body and soul blend in peace. This is the radiant way, where only following the Lord brings comprehensive health, overcoming all shadows from bullying. Personal development is also an aspect where the path with the Lord shines strongly, where harm to self-esteem from threats is transformed into motivation for growth. Taunts can cause doubt in abilities, but the Lord leads through setting goals based on the mission entrusted by the Lord, helping to overcome fear and pursue passions with confidence. The Lord bestows counsel through Scripture to build new skills, turning failure into steps of progress. Solid psyche arises from this process, for the path with the Lord brings indomitable spirit, where personal development becomes a sacred journey. The horizon with the Lord is always correct, affirming that only walking with the Lord achieves true completeness, away from all barriers from insults. To reinforce the truth about the power of the path with the Lord, reflect on the scripture in James 1:2-4. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. This word emphasizes that the Lord uses every challenge, including bullying, to train maturity, bringing patient spirit and perfect psyche on the way with the Lord. In handling broader social relationships, such as with friends or the local community, the path following the Lord helps build healthy boundaries to resist bullying. The Lord guides in selecting connections based on positive values, turning society into a place of support instead of a source of pain. When threats from friend groups infiltrate, the Lord grants strength to stand firm, encouraging the spread of kindness without fear of being exploited. Steadfast spirit develops from this network, for the path with the Lord brings confident psyche, where relationships become a source of strength. This way is radiant, affirming that only following the Lord achieves authentic connections, overcoming all toxic words. When facing indirect financial challenges from bullying, such as lost opportunities due to damaged self-esteem, the path following the Lord provides wise vision to manage resources. The Lord leads through principles of saving and sharing, helping to overcome anxiety with faith in provision from the Lord, turning difficulties into occasions to prove faith. Beautiful psyche blossoms from this assurance, for the path with the Lord ensures solid spirit, where finances become part of the grand plan. The horizon with the Lord is a source of hope, where only walking with the Lord brings true prosperity. In the field of creativity, such as art or writing, bullying can extinguish inspiration through criticisms, but the path following the Lord ignites talents as gifts from the Lord. The Lord guides in using creativity to express gratitude, turning taunts into fuel for meaningful works, helping the spirit to be liberated. Steadfast psyche from this creativity, for the way with the Lord brings endless joy, affirming that only following the Lord achieves true freedom of expression. When caring for mental health through meditation, the path following the Lord turns quiet moments into sacred conversations, helping to repel despair from threats. The Lord grants surpassing peace, strengthening the psyche to face every challenge, turning meditation into a powerful tool. Indomitable spirit sprouts from here, for the path with the Lord is the source of healing, where only following the Lord brings true rest. Regarding the living environment, such as residential areas or cities, bullying from neighbors can make spaces suffocating, but the path following the Lord guides in spreading light through kind actions, turning the community into a peaceful place. The Lord helps overcome insults with perseverance, bringing peaceful psyche in every context. The horizon with the Lord is radiant, affirming that only walking with the Lord turns the surrounding world into paradise.